Welcome everybody, welcome back to Monster episode 72. That is the third to last episode, and today it's only one episode because I only have time for one episode. This anime is probably, this episode is probably gonna blue ball me hard, but I'll have to take it. I don't like doing this. I would probably have preferred to do like a 3-episode thing, but I want to do it today. A little bit of a late night recording session, and if I have time tomorrow, or maybe also the day after tomorrow could be a good time to also do that, I will definitely record the 2 last episodes of Monster, and that will be it. And wow, I don't know what to say to that. Everything is obviously coming to a head. We talked about it a lot at the end of last time, and after the in-between episode, which was 70. I'm very curious how this is going to end. I hope Lunge doesn't die, because as much as I hated him in like halfway through the story, I like it takes a very strong man, I would say, to admit that he was wrong. To a degree, he's still kind of like not admitting it outright 100% to everybody, but to Tenma he was like, I'm sorry, and he let him go. So this is like his apology, his redemption, kind of, in his entire story. I would find it rather sad if he died here, but at the same time it would probably make narrative sense, and it would kind of rhyme in a way, if you know what I mean. Like it feels right technically. It would also feel right if he survived, so I'm still giving him a chance, and maybe that's my bias speaking, because at this point in time I think he's a really good character, much like Grimmer, who we unfortunately lost last episode. So let's get our ass back into this episode, see what it has in store for us. The name of this episode is super interesting. It is Man Without a Name, and isn't that pretty much what we had for most of the story? All right, Monster episode 72 starts in 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Lots of dead, still raining. This looks like an absolute slaughterhouse, this entire city. Oh yeah, Lunge was at Hotel Bergbach. Like a badass he went in. The question is, do they expect him? Because probably they will. And is it gonna be Roberto? It should be. I think Johan is somewhere else. Lunge, you know it's a trap, probably. Look behind you. Quickly, my dude. This is the oldest trick in the book. Ooh. Okay, caught him. Damn. Shot in the arm, not in the head. I'll take that. Maybe somebody can save him. You have no name either, huh? Johan wannabe. Nah, he got saved, I think. He got saved. Somebody came in. Maybe it was 10. I think, like, where's Tenma right now? I don't know. I mean, he saw Grimmer off, so I guess from there, I don't know where he went. Maybe it was Nina. Who knows? One of the last times we will see this intro. I will miss that, honestly. Ghostly melody. Like creepy choir music. I think it's super cool that we have a series that, like the old series, had the same OP for the entire runtime, especially for such a long runtime. I feel though that it's always been enough, right? All of the glimpses fit to different arcs in the entire series. Different stages. Yeah. No, Tenma's here, okay. So it might... I mean, he might just be dead, but that would be a shame.
ルンゲ警部のところへ行くんだね。私も行くよ。銃は持ってる。手紙。ルンゲ警部がグリマーさんに預けたこの手紙。赤いバラの屋敷でルンゲ警部が見つけたものだそうです。君のことをずっと見ていた。君のすべてを食い尽くすために見ていた。だが逆に君のすべてが私を侵食した。崩れかかった私が君にはどのように見えただろうか。崩れかかった私に君が与えてくれたもの。君は美しい宝石を残してくれた。
Treasure.
あの永遠の命のような双子。一番罪なことは人の名前を奪い去ること。
Yeah, that was the letter that Lunge read.
君に名前を返そう。君の名はアンナ。今はただ悲しい、悲しい、悲しい、悲しい、悲しい、悲しい。
And is going to the doorstep as it pours down. Such an interesting scene.
私は双子の母親に恋をした。
We had those theories.
考え方が変わった。それで彼女のことを、双子のことを、実験のことを知っているすべての人間を殺した。
But who? Like,
それだけだ。
wait, how did their mother die again? I might have forgotten, but I don't know if you have. Wait, what happened? Did he have his gun over there? I don't. I think he had a second gun, so. Lunge, you absolute badass. I can't believe it.
答えろ。お前は何者だ。その傷は放っておけば致命傷になる。助かりたかったら答えろ。
I don't know if he's gonna do that.
なぜそうまでしてヨハンに従う。ヨハンとお前はどういう関係だ。
落ちぶれたもんだね、ルンゲ警部。
Only taunting.
捜査局切っての敏腕捜査官がこんな田舎町でたった一人、警察署も持たずに観光旅行。
I don't think Lunge would see that as having been fallen.
仕事を干されて天馬を追い回すことだけが生きがいになった。
その通りだ。よく調べたな。
奥さん。
Except the part with Tenma at this point.
幸せそうにね。あんたの孫もその男がおじいちゃんだと思ってる。
I don't know if you can get Lunge like that.
喋れるようになってその男のことをおじいちゃん、おじいちゃんって。
黙れ。
A little bit annoyed.
黙れ。
孫は可愛く成長している。
黙れ。
会いたいよね。黙れ。
Ooh, so he did get to him.
昔のルンゲ警部はこんなもんじゃなかった。
I think he has 3 guns, right? Maybe not. Ooh. Okay, we're gonna scrap for the gun. Ooh. I mean, I would be careful, dude. He's still got the gun in his hand. Alright.
俺が何者かって、ヨハンとの関係がどうしたって。俺には名前がない、国がない、
No
記憶が
memories.
ない。気がつけば施設から出て仕事をこなしていた。
The orphanage.
ある日、
The same.
俺の前にヨハンが現
Or
れ、
maybe some other orphanage.
彼は俺の記憶の一つを呼び覚ましてくれたんだ。たった一つの記憶を。
Just one.
この人、本当の名前はわからないんだって。
自分の名前が？
うん。施設にいたんだって。
Hmm.
でも言ってた。他のことはみんな忘れてるのに、友達の名前は思い出したんだって。
自分の名前を忘れたのに、友達の名前は覚えてるのか？
うん。その子は絵を描くのが好きで、虫が好きで、でも虫を殺すのは嫌いだから、
So you told him.
逃がしてやるんだって。その子の名前は確かアドルフ・ラインハルト。週に一度支給されるココアが大好きだったんだって。
They kind of exchange an annoying look as if they know him.
一杯のカップを差し出した。思い出したんだ。週に一度の
Ooh, is it him?
楽しみ。俺は温かいココアが大好きだったんだ。
Oh, so maybe Johan actually inserted himself into this scenario.
全てを何もかもきれいに流してくれればいいのに。恐怖も憎悪も。
Okay, now we're being melodramatic.
だが実際は全くその逆だった。全てがより一層大きく膨れ上がった。あの日もこんな雨だった。
On what day?
先日東ドイツから西側に亡命した東ドイツ貿易
Oh, yes. So who killed Lieberts?
前に姿を現しました。リーベルト夫妻は疲れた様子もなく、二人のお子さんと共に明るい表情を見せてくれました。
Was that the last time he saw them?
あなたも亡命
Holy shit, he did it.
チェコスロバキアから。
あの子たちを知っているって。
会わせてください。一目だけでも。寝顔だけでも。
But why?
惨劇が起きた。
And how?
少女1名生存確認。男女2名は絶命。
男の子は重体ですが脈拍があり。
フランケは血圧72の50、脈拍137。
Yeah, I remember. Kill me. She said kill me, not him.
私には一体何が起き
So
た。
you were there, but nothing. You didn't do anything.
いや、分かっていたのに。
You shut.
全て分かっていたのに。逃げ出したの。
So what did you see?
私は何もかも考えるのをやめ。
Because that's still the main mystery, right?
絵を描いてみたんだ。理想の双子の絵。 愛に包まれたあの子たちだが、何枚描いてみてもそんなものは描けなかった。私には分かっていたからだ。そんなものはないということが。
Because of what you did.
ルンゲ警部のいるホテルベルクバッハはこの先ですね。
ああ、
行きましょう。気をつけて。どこから狙っているか。
私は怪物を作ってしまったんだよ。
Yeah.
私はその怪物を蘇らせてしまった。
Ironic, right? He didn't know that, obviously. Full Metal Alchemist. I mean... Okay, Lung is still choking.
これじゃ死ねないだろう。右手は握力がないんだよ。ミュンヘンの図書館でドクターテンマに撃たれてね。あそこで彼を殺すくらいたやすかった。でも殺しちゃいけないんだ。
Why?
ドクターテンマは残る人間なんだよ。
What purpose does he have?
彼は最後に残って一人ぼっちになる。一人で寂しく死んでゆく。名前もなくね。これがヨハンの計算だ。
Okay. For
ドクターテンマはヨハン
bringing him back to life.
見ることを許された。俺もその風景を見たい。
You want to, huh? I don't... Something's gonna tell me you won't.
あんたは見ない。あんたは死ぬ。彼もヨハンの計算だ。
Holy shit, he is fighting. And he's winning.
計算だと。私の頭の中のコンピューターではそんな
Insane.
計算は成り立たん。答えろ。ヨハンはどこだ。
Where is he indeed?
ひどい。まるで戦場だ。
ヨハンはここにはいない。
She
な
knows.
ぜわかる？
どこかからこの様子を見てる。アリの行列を見るように。
We had the line of ants way back.
とにかく中を調べよう。テンマはここに向かったんだから。誰かいないか。
2階見てみる。
子供？
こっち来ないで。
大丈夫。私たちは味方だ。助けに来たんだ。ほら、何も持ってない。な、大丈夫だろ。
あ、絵の女の人だ。
Yeah, he saw the picture.
たくさん絵があったんだ。その絵の女の子にそっくりだ。
たくさんの絵？
同じ顔の男の子と双子の絵だよ。どこで見たの？その絵。
She saw them.
どこで
When?
見たの？南の高台の吸血鬼の家。
The vampire's house. I wonder why they called it that, because, like, obviously, Bonaparte is it Johann's house? Has he had the house for so long? Is that it? Did he kill anybody? I don't think so, right?
この町に悪魔が来たんだ。
I mean, this is not gonna help his alcohol addiction, I'm just gonna say it.
ここにはもう誰もいないようだ。
The pictures, huh?
つい今しがたまでヨハンはそこでそうしていたと言うんだね。どれも君たち兄弟を描こうとして未完成に終わっている。
Yeah, he
この絵も
couldn't.
優しく微笑んでるように見えるが、
But
この絵を描いたのはフランツ。
oh, she's smiling. Does he smile? I don't think so.
ヨハンは何を。
ただいま。おかえり。ただいま。おかえり。ただいま。
No, he's smiling too, right?
おかえ
But
り。
not as nicely.
ただいま。おかえり。
ニナ、
私ね、怖いものを見たの。とっても怖いもの。
Right.
たくさんの人が死んでいったの。
That is flashbacks, right?
赤い
I
バラの
think so.
みんなお酒を飲んだの。そうしたらみんな苦しんで折り重なるように私の目の前で。お母さんはどこ？
Where is she indeed?
ごめんね。何を謝ってるの？あの時。
Oh, this is like
生きていかなくちゃ。二人で生きて。
her mother. Interesting.
なんで泣くの？なんで泣いてるの？泣かないで。泣かないで。泣かないで。泣かないで。泣かないで。泣かないで。
ニナ。ニナ。
彼は泣いてた。
He, Johann,
ニナ。
or Franz.
この部屋で。ついさっきまでこの部屋で。
Johann.
一人で。あの時みたいに泣いてた。
Crying just like that day.
あの雨の夜、私が撃たなければ。
But why? How? I mean, we already have like
私が許
some
してあげていれば、こんなことは続かなかった。
forgiven him.
こんなに大勢の人が死ぬことはなかった。もう遅すぎるかもしれないけど、
I'm still confused.
今こそ。
I'm sure it's all gonna make sense at the end.
ヨハンは今。
街に降りた。すべてを終わりにするために。
Ooh, that's a great shot. Good episode, and actually not too bad on like the cliffhanger, I think. They're doing a good job and let's stringing it along, keeping it like the tension up. And at the same time not just constantly cliffhangering you for the end. Really like that. No preview. Right, let's walk it back. Let us see. So, very, very tense as Lunge is going from room to room, checking everything, and obviously it could be a trap, like I said during the reaction, but he has to check. Otherwise he's gonna be like, there's a trap, I'm gonna look somewhere else, and then he's actually in the shower, right? So there's definitely, he has to check every corner. But Roberto is still very, very quick in what he's doing. Boom. But shot his arm, right? So the bullet's probably traveling through there and being lodged in there somewhere, so not as life-threatening, although he's probably supposedly gonna bleed out at some point if he's not taking care of it. I love the shot, right? Like, I didn't peek that his arm was underneath the underneath that chair. It's so natural seeming, right? Like he fell back there and it's like, oh no. So I wonder where he had his gun, because obviously Roberto was looking at him the entire time. So I do wonder if like he had it in his like arm somewhere, or if there was like, or if he could have fallen on his back, drawn it, and put it like underneath the chair without Roberto seeing it immediately. But really cool how the gun is slightly tilted and pointing right at him, right? Center screen, Lunge, gun pointing at him, right? We have that. And still we got the slight asymmetry and everything. Roberto, and he's like, no, I don't have a name. It's very interesting. And it's very interesting how we're like, first of all, like I thought Tenma or Nina were gonna save Lunge, but Lunge is a badass. He's gonna save himself, but to a degree. We read the letter. We have like the love letter to Anna and Johann's mother, who I still don't remember if she died or not, and like, right, because later on we even have Nina asking where's mom, but that could just be part of a flashback, right? And he's like, my whole perspective changed. Let's talk about that. That is incredibly interesting, right? How you can go through life with ambitions, career, and all kinds of other things, and suddenly you meet somebody and it's like, my entire world is turned upside down. My priorities, like that, the priorities I used to have are not the priorities I have right now. I don't know what to say and what to do, because suddenly there's this new person in my life and I have no idea, right? I have no idea. Like my entire moral compass gets redefined through that, because I am in love and I care for the person, and subsequently I also care for the children of that person, and suddenly it's like I experimented on them, I did some stuff to them. How can I revert that? How can I? And it's like I'll give you I'll give you a name. Your name is Anna. And I guess he tried to kill everybody in that mansion because they knew about the mother and they knew about the twins, as we have suspected. But it was out of love to protect them and to maybe make up for it again. But somehow, I feel like for Anna it worked to a degree because she got into the right environment after that as well. For Johann it didn't, even though both of them are traumatized as hell. But it was even more problematic for Johann. So the question is, who killed the Lieberts that night? Because if Franz Bonaparte didn't do it, and he's like, I know what happened, I couldn't bear it, I just got out of there. Is that like I killed them out of like some kind of like effect in that moment, right? Like some kind of emotional, uncontrollable feeling. And then I fled the crime scene. Or was it Johann that did it and then came into Anna and it was like, you gotta end it here, right? And then you're gonna be happy, you're gonna be, right? She's gonna be on her own, but she's gonna be taken care of. Or if it was Anna, I don't like to say that because but that would be a very, very crazy twist, right? Like if it was actually Anna and then Johann's like, you gotta kill me too. And don't know though, right? Because like Anna was always like, kill me, but she could be repeating like what Johan said to her. Or she could be like, my brother is dead, my foster parents are dead, just kill me, I want it to end, right? That could be the idea as well. We react to so much trauma, right? And this was before she knew that Johan was alive, and when they knew and they brought them together, suddenly like Johan was reaching out to her and she was running out of the room in fear. So it's like, was that a reaction to, wait, I killed you, I thought you were dead, and like being afraid of his reaction and whatnot? Or was it more of a like, no, the monster is still alive? So that's the question as well. Killed all the people who knew about the experiment, yeah. Lunge, you sly fox. And we're interrogating and he's like, I had no name, blah blah blah, but then he's provoking Lunge and he actually gets provoked. So inside of cold-hearted, stone-faced, poker-faced, professional BKA Inspector Lunge is a human. Who would have thunk? Nah, I would have thunk, right? I mean, obviously it was 50-50 if he was gonna like get emotional as a response to that, because obviously Lunge is hardened and he knows that if a criminal is in a bad situation, they're gonna use any means necessary, including like trying to rile him up emotionally to get the upper hand. But this time it still worked, apparently. The wound is still too deep for Lunge of losing his family, despite seemingly to the outside not reacting that much to it. Alright, we got a crazy struggle with like reaching for the gun, sumo throw, kick into the hallway, crazy strength, foot on the gun, hand, going down, choking, but then we get to know that he actually doesn't have the strength in his arm. Why does he start with the right arm if he doesn't have the strength? He should have like not gloated it, but go with the left immediately. But he had to be like, you're not gonna see the vision that Johan had. You're not gonna see that world, but I'm gonna see it. And it's like, dude, either you, Roberto, are not gonna see it, or neither of you gonna see it. But I think Roberto's gonna die before the end. It's very interesting that we have like Grimmer, like we put the pieces together now, and Grimmer's friend was actually Roberto, apparently. And I don't know if Johan inserted himself in the way that he was like, hey, I'm Johan, remember me? I was your good friend, you loved the cocoa, all of these things, and then he got Roberto to remember. Or if it was like Johan somehow had the info and gave him Coco in order to trigger that memory in him, and then he was like, I know you're not, or I don't remember you, Johan, and Roberto doesn't believe that he's his friend, but he's like, look, dude, you did me a solid, and thanks to you, I remembered one of the few things I even remember of my life before all of this. Before leaving the orphanage and going to work. So I'm gonna just, I'm gonna follow you, right? Because you got something special. And obviously Johan also has that charisma. Right. And yeah, like, we jump from like the hot cocoa and the fuzzy feeling and whatnot right into the water down the drain. Everything is drowning, basically. And we go to only the rain could wash everything clean, and it's like, it's gonna make everything even more, swell up even more. And it's like, and that night, it was the same kind of rain. This is like very interesting thing about Japanese culture, where it's almost like snow and rain kind of bring sorrow and like emotional coldness with it, which I find very, very interesting. Like, at least the theming, the way like serious work, even some part of like Western serious work like that, where it's like rain when somebody's very, very, like when some tragedy happens, and it's snow when something very, like when you feel lonely and lost in the world and everything looks bleak. I guess, I mean, to be fair, we are also saying emotionally cold. I mean, emotion can't really be cold because it's not an, right? But we associate warm with a lot of like positive emotions, and we associate cold with a lot of negative emotions or the lack of emotions altogether. Right. What happened? We don't know. I mean, we have that we have that rainy confirmation where Tenma is like, he's like, I'm responsible, right? Bonaparte or Papa is like, I'm responsible. And Tenma is like, well, I'm responsible to a degree because I brought him back. And that surprises him. Like, he's like, what? You did what? Right. And we have like, look at this shot. That's a cool shot. That's a cool shot. Like lording over him, kind of like this very dominant stance where he's like, I'm the one who is in charge right now. Right? As he's explaining to him what's going on and all kinds of stuff, and kind of almost like monologuing to himself. And then he wants to take him out. And Lunge is fighting for his life. And of course he is. Look at that face, right? He is like, don't underestimate somebody who is cornered. He's dealt with criminals before. It's like, whatever you're saying doesn't make any lick of sense to me. It doesn't add up to the computer in my head. And we have the other moving pieces, Nina and Rudy. And we find out about the pictures, and we go to the pictures. I think it's very interesting that our boy, like the drunk alcoholic who's beating his child occasionally and using him for making money for alcohol, is brought into such a hellscape and does so far come away unscathed. So the question is this gonna set an impulse for trying to treat his son and the people dear to him better and trying to get his act together, or is it gonna rush him even more into misery and self-pity and his addiction? Because both of that is possible. Oftentimes it's more the latter, right? So obviously some major events can get you to be like, okay, I'm gonna get my act together, I need to, right, protect my family, I realize how important they are to me and all of that stuff. Not always the case, and sometimes it's just gonna drive you more into it because you're like, all these horrible scenes I keep seeing, right? I'm having the flashbacks, I'm having the trauma, right? I'm having the guilt, I'm having all of the horrible sights that I've seen, and like this near-death situation that I was in myself, right? That's been happening around me. I need to drown that with even more alcohol, right? And that's already one of his major coping mechanisms, right? It's been ingrained in his brain already, so it's a routine. It's something that he goes to whenever stuff is unbearable for him. So it's very likely that he's gonna go for that if he doesn't get proper help once this whole ordeal is over. We're at the mansion. We see like Nina's like, Johan was there. Cool shot, right? Like the fish islands and how we like how everything is like displayed here. It almost seems like the pictures are popping out of the screen towards us. And then she's going into this very interesting flashback moment. It's like going down, and where's mother? And I think she's dipping in and out of it, because what doesn't fit the flashback is, I'm talking about what's happening right here. It's like, oh yeah, Johan was doing this or saying that, she was doing that, my mother was there, right? Talking to Rudy as if explaining it to him. At the same time, we have these glimpses where it's like just sentences. Where's mother? What's happening, right? Like as if she was back in her own self, in way back when she was a little kid, and just saying these things. And partially it almost seemed like she was doing dialogue, right? Like she was doing her part as well as the part of Johan and or her mother. So it's very interesting because like, why are you crying? Whatever, right? We're asking these questions. I'm sorry. What did she apologize for? And then it's like, okay, I said, I'm sorry. like I'm saying it, and then I'm like, okay, she did apologize for something. I'm wondering why, right? So we're kind of moving in and out of flashbacks kind of deal. And I mean, it's very well done, I would say. I don't know if it's like that one-to-one when you're like having somebody who is experiencing flashbacks. It's very varied depending on what kind of person you're talking to and what they've lived through and all of these things and what kind of person they are. So every situation is unique. But I do think like it's at least being displayed very plausibly, right? Like, because that is what you're having, right? You can have anything from just remembering the pictures and the things that are happening very vividly, all the way to being lost completely in the delusion of thinking it's happening right here and right now again, right? And you are a child again and all of these things, right? So there is a spectrum, and in this specific scene, Nina is kind of crossing the spectrum back and forth. But it's very plausible that this is one way it can happen, right? That you're kind of dipping in and out of the delusion, in and out of the active flashback, the intrusions. So yeah, the two of you have to live. That's also one of her mother's sentences, probably. Why are you crying? Stop crying, right? It's going back and forth. I still don't know what the ultimate thing was here, right? Because like in this room, Johan was crying like he was crying back then, right? Alone. Crying just like that day. Does she mean the day when her mother, right? What she was flashing back to just now and asking, why are you crying? Or crying like that rainy night I had to shoot him, because he doesn't look like he's crying here, right? When he's like pointing at his head, he's like, shoot me. If only I had forgiven him, this would never have happened. Forgiven him for what? Right? For taking his place in the Red Rose Mansion? Did you say something like, I'll never forgive you, or whatever? Did you switch places? Was something happening? I don't know. So many people wouldn't have died. Does she mean Johan's victims over the course of these years? Or does she mean also the 40-something people in the Red Rose Mansion? 42, I think it was. It might be too late. But I must... Yeah, please. Can we? Subtitles? I must act now. And Rudy's asking, like, where's Johan now? It's like, he's going. He come down to town to end it all. I'm also, first of all, amazing shot as we are zooming through the window, the rain-stained window, like tears flowing down, like you're sitting in your safe home as it is pouring down, looking out the window as it rains and pours. And then we're just moving past the window and onto this hillside that maybe is the same as in the postcard, and maybe that's when, from the position from which Popper drew that one. I don't know, or a similar one at least. I also wonder why Johan wants Tenma to be all alone and see this vision of the end. I do wonder why that is the case. And if he sees the same for Nina, right? If he's like, Nina survives this, Tenma survives this, they're gonna see the end, right? This desolate landscape that we keep seeing in the OP. At the same time, like, Johan must know that if both Nina and Tenma are still alive, they're gonna find each other and they're gonna give each other solace, right? Because they are both the survivors of this, so they're not alone. So how much does Roberto know, and how much is he actually accurate with what he knows? What Johan wants. Johan seems to want that Tenma survives this. The question is why, right? The question is why, and then if we have a reason, like he wants him to be alone, but then also why, right? Because he saved his life. Is he like, I don't forgive you for saving my life because this like led to all of this stuff and I would have been better off dead? Because I thought like throughout most of this the theory is, while Johann was taunting Tenma often and torturing him, he was also at the same time somewhat thankful that he was rescued. At the same time, we have the evidence that kind of goes contrary to that, where Johann was like, please, right, Nina, shoot me. So it's like maybe he wanted to take himself out before it like becomes too much. And then with addition to like the frontal lobe injury, which can do a lot when it comes to inhibition of emotions and inhibition of urges and whatever, and it can change personality aspects as well. It could be that this just led him down more and more of a path to the monster, basically. But I don't know if he would blame that on Tenma specifically. By the way, look that up. I mentioned it a couple of times, but there's like a case of Phineas Gage, who was like a mine worker who was struck by a metal pole directly through the head, somewhere where the eye should be, somewhere there in the frontal lobe. And one of the most prominent cases of what happens if you survive something like that and are somewhat functioning as a human being. The interesting thing was he was kind of like talking like normal and like functioning as normal and could do things, but the problem was his personality seemed completely changed. He had anger issues. He had trouble to control his anger and emotions in general, and people who knew him would say that his personality completely changed. So that is a very interesting case. I think it was like 19th century, somewhere around that. So in America, as far as I know. I don't know more details, like I don't remember any more details. I know I knew a little bit more about it at some point in time, but that is one of the most prominent cases of something like that happening, where it's like, yes, there is parts of behavior control and behavioral inhibition that is that the frontal lobe is partially responsible for. There is like a lot of executive functions, making decisions, right, regulating emotions. All of these things, they happen in conjunction with the frontal lobe. So this is maybe not this, but those cases such as these are how these ideas, these theories about how our brain works in certain areas of the brain are responsible for these things kind of develop sometimes. You see somebody with a very prominent injury in that region who still otherwise functions relatively well as a human being, and then you're like, okay, we can kind of surmise that maybe these rough things might be located within the brain there. And then you're doing studies, right, where you can, like these days you do it a little bit more easily. You can, for example, through like electromagnetic like I don't know the ins and outs of it, but you can kind of deactivate certain areas of the brain, larger areas of the brain, temporarily, to see how different tasks are being done by people, and then you compare that to a control group of people. Obviously, the best comparison groups are twins. Fun thing, right? Twins are like kind of the golden standard of any study that you can do, because they are genetically so similar that you can be like, okay, we'll see if we put twin 1 in environment X and twin 2 in environment Y, what is happening, right? Obviously, you don't do that on purpose most of the time. It's more like, okay, I don't know, parents died and they were in an orphanage and they got adopted by different families and whatnot, and then years later you can look what was their kind of like, where were they brought up. Some twins maybe in like poorer households, while other were like more academic households and whatever. You can compare them and see how much of certain things, right, like mental illnesses and other stuff, how much of that is genetic and heritable, and how much of it is actually also, at least in part, influenced by the environment. So yeah, twin studies are the gold standard, which is very ironic and funny, and maybe exactly the reason why we are focusing on twins here in Monster, because it's a series that deals a lot with what is human nature, right? How can we manipulate humans to be a certain way we want them to be? What can go wrong? What can go right, right? Is there redemption for people who have done bad things? Can people who grew up in bad circumstances still be good, right? We have the one of the most interesting personalities with Grimmer, who is definitely partially somewhat psychopathic in a way that he's, or sociopathic, that it's very hard for him to feel emotions and recognize his own emotions and maybe even control his own emotions, since he does have that or did have that dissociative identity disorder. And still he kind of developed in a way that allowed him to become somebody who wants to do good, even though he might have done a lot of like potentially killing people here and there and whatnot. He was always trying to find justice in the world, right? And have a positive impact on it. Yeah, Monster deals a lot with these things, and as a result of that, it's very interesting for sure. But yeah, that was the third to last episode of Monster, and next time we are probably going to watch episode 72 and probably 73 and probably episode 74 for the finale. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, leave me a like. I would very much appreciate it. Every view and every like, or if you just leave like the if you leave it running in the background, if you're watching the pips or whatever on Patreon. Full length on Patreon, by the way, in case I haven't mentioned that. I probably don't mention it enough, but it's in the description most of the time. So you can watch the pips on Patreon. You can watch the full length on Patreon if you want to. It's not a lot, right? Like it starts with $1. It's a low amount, and if you want to support me, that's kind of the best way you can do it. And the more I get there, the more I can actually focus on making more videos that you all enjoy. So I hope you think about supporting me there. If you want to see more of my videos, subscribe to the channel, look at my playlists. I've done a lot in the past with anime and whatnot, and I've done a little bit in terms of gaming, Disco Elysium, and which was probably going to continue soon, or maybe already has, depending on when you're watching this. And Silk Song now, right? Hollow Knight Silk Song, which I was very excited about, and I already played, as of recording this, I already played like, I don't know, like 8 to 10 hours or something, like around that time. Had one boss where I was spending hours on, whereas probably gonna come back to that one at some other time. Gonna go exploring in other areas and whatnot. But yeah, if you want to see some gameplay, go watch that. We have other stuff, or I have other stuff planned in the back of my mind that I'm probably gonna finish at some point in time, or start at some point in time. And thank you to all patrons, past and present, who have been or are still supporting me. And I'll see you next time.